any further ado, it is my honor here to introduce here at Tampa Bay Comic Con, everybody give it up for the one, the only, Harvey Guillen! Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks everyone for coming. What a nice welcome. Also, people are trying to. I know there's no seats.
We got some standing room.
We can only standing room in the corner. You guys
yeah,
want to come
and
over?
just yeah. And if there's a fire marshal, ignore him.
Then go on that side. You know, so there's another door right there.
Spaces there. Yeah, we got extra.
Raise your hand. You have a seat next to us.
There we go, yeah. Find some seats. If you want to come in and grab a seat, make a friend.
Make a friend. Or go to the other door and then, because you can probably stand on that wall, right?
This is amazing. Look at you go.
We don't have people outside. It's so bad.
I know. But I'll tell you this, though. You earned it, though. It's amazing to have you here.
I've heard standing room.
You earned it. And I gotta, and for everyone here, we are going to do, because of the intimate setting here, we'll do some Q&As. If you got some questions, we'll raise your hand and we'll call on some folks in a little bit. But I gotta ask, how have the fans been treating you?
So great. I mean, literally, it's my first time in Tampa.
Woo!
So great. You guys have been so fantastic, so warm, so welcoming, and the stories that have come from you coming to the table and telling me about shadows or shows or Perrito or characters mean to you has been really lovely. I'm not gonna lie, I've cried probably a couple of times. But it's good. We're human. We're that's what we do. We connect.
Yeah, and you've created so many wonderful characters in your art and everything. It's just obvious that people want to feel that feeling. And because I did a little research and I found out that you were Perrito. That is the best Puss in Boots movie ever, and you are amazing in that.
Thank you. Yeah, I love Perrito. Did you guys watch Puss in Boots: The Last Wish? That was a fun, movie. That movie had no right being that good.
Yeah, I agree.
It was so good. And it's a sequel of a sequel. It's not even it's from the Shrek world. It was like Shrek had a spin-off with, Puss in Boots, and then there was a sequel of a sequel of a sequel. So it was like,
Right.
And it was nominated for an Academy Award.
I mean, the animation style, and you are in an Academy Award nominated movie.
I'm an Academy Award nominated actor. I know. When I did the movie, I didn't think anything of that would happen because you get the script and you read it and you're like, oh, this is good. And it kind of felt like it was, sometimes I was like, if this was live action, this would also be really powerful too as well.
Yeah.
Because it talks about topics that, we kind of shy away from. And it's taboo and that people don't talk about, panic attacks or talk about fearing death. And the time is, ticking,
And it's precious.
Yeah, time is precious and you gotta make the best. And the idea that, this character Perrito that has been through a lot, a lot, that he would want to become, someone that helps others is kind of really cool and inspiring. The idea that there was a scene in the movie that the director originally was like, this is his woe is me kind of moment, and he's telling the story and it's really sad, and it's supposed to be really sad. I was like, I don't think Perrito would make that story sad. I think he would make light of it. The sock, the sock with a rock into the river. I was like, what did I play this game? It's just good jokes on that. The idea that this character, you're looking at someone, people who've gone through such shit, excuse my language, they are survivors, and they continue to move forward. And so the way that Perrito does it is through wanting to help others. He's been through stuff, but this isn't he's gonna stop, He's like, I brought you a sword, and it's like, that's a stick. It's a stick sword, It's like being optimistic and that.
Not to be shaped by that trauma.
Yeah, not to be shaped because we aren't what, has happened to us, we have a choice to move forward because, life can be dark, and like we can fall ourselves into a dark hole and stay there. And it's okay to be, sad and emotional, but to remember that life is living, and that we're meant to be living, so we need to move forward. And I think Barrito's a perfect example of that. So I really love playing that character and what that means to people when they come to the table and to the cons and they say that character. I mean, I saw this in theaters 22 times, and just like, wow. And I was like, yeah, when I watched the movie, it was really special. Like, I never met Antonio or Salma, who played Puss and Kitty Softpaws, at all till the premiere day.
Till the premiere?
I never recorded with them. Because Salma was in Paris, Antonio lives in Spain, and I was filming Shadows in Toronto. And over the course of a year and a half, recording the cartoon, the movie, like I was just like in sessions by myself with the director. And the director was like, see it like this, because I think Antonio's going to do it like this. Or we got Salma's recording for that part. I'm going to play it for you. And they play it for you, you can hear it, and how we respond to that,
Yeah.
So all of that took place without ever meeting. And the first time I met them was at the premiere, and I was doing the junket, and Salma comes into the room, and I was like, I grew up, like, Salma and Antonio were mom and dad, Like, she's Brad, I was like, mom and dad, because I didn't grow up with having a lot of representation, in the Latino community and screen, so I always longed to be like, oh my gosh, they made it, they made it, and here I am, on a carpet premiere with mom and dad. It's like a surreal moment. And I remember Salma coming into the room, and she's all, I took the red light, I took the red light overnight, and I'm so tired. Harvey, you pendejo, you steal the movie. And I was like, oh my God, Salma, hi, call me pendejo. And literally the idea that and the same thing happened with Antonio, he was on the carpet, and he was just like, on the carpet, taking pictures like, oh, Harvey, de veras, es maravilloso. And I was like, oh my God, Antonio, es maravilloso, So the idea that I got to meet, my childhood heroes and be in a project with them was like, I was on cloud nine, So it definitely has a place in my heart forever.
Beautiful. So, I think this is going to be an absolute perfect time. I see a hand raised, a couple of you. You got them, we'll call Anya. And yes, you over there, sir. What's your question? It's you with that.
Hey, so what's your favorite line in Puss in Boot?
What is your favorite line in Puss in Boots?
I like when I get to say a lot of bad words.
Did you actually say bad words?
The director was like, I need you to say them. And I was like, what? I need you to say them. I'm like, okay, all right. You mother. Because he needed to have the
edit it out.
The beginning of the word and the end of the
Because
word.
when you hear the F and then the CK,
I do like just the simple thing he kept saying over, like, Team Friendship, over and over. We all have that friend, we need those friends, to be optimistic, so it was kind of fun.
Did you improv any of those lines?
I think I improvised some of the bad words.
Julie, yes, you, hello.
Hi, name is Jake. I don't know if you're under an NDA right now about this, but I do know you are going to be voicing Visago on Hell of a Boss very soon.
Yes,
Hell of a Boss.
Joining Hell of a Boss. Do you have some fans on here?
Any Hell of a Boss fans?
That is true. I can't give you anything more than that. It's gonna be good.
Just you wait.
Just you wait. I'm really excited. When they offered the role, I was just like, whoa, it's so cool.
Offered.
Yeah, it was an offer role, and that was nice. And Busy Pop, she's so sweet and wonderful, and the cast is so great. And here we have Brandon and
we just had him on Friday here. Yeah.
So very sweet and their characters have a backstory, that people are putting together, and what that might be and why they might feel a certain way. But he was joking about that too. He's like, I think he said at his panel, it was like, their characters maybe not see eye to eye, but in real life we love each other.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Any other questions? Hello.
I understand you're a housewife fan.
Yeah, great question. Now we get to the real stuff.
The housewives.
Really, you are obsessed with housewives?
I love housewives, so I was wondering what would be Guillermo's tagline if he's a housewife?
Guillermo's tagline being a housewife.
Oh.
Yeah, we can think.
Yeah,
We
it's
have
like
to think
you
about
turn
that.
around and instead of like an apple or something, it'd be like a wooden stake, and it's like, I slay all day.
There, yeah, you bring it up. That's an applause right there. We heard that. Any other questions? That's all. Some hello.
Do you have any recommendations for people with voice acting?
Well, you have a great voice.
That was the most
already.
amazing voice.
Sold! You're hired!
Keep talking, but-
It's that easy. Yeah, no, it's not actually. It's not that easy. Sometimes some of the hardest work I've ever done has been in front of a microphone with no one around me. Because you have to, this feeling without a person there. Like, going back to Carito, like, I never recorded with them, in the room, and you have to, it's almost like you're going insane. Because you're like in a room, and you're like, wow, that's great, and then they're like, cut, and you're like, and they're like, okay, Harvey, do it again, and this time, a little sadder. I'm like,
It's like that Matt Berry scene where it's like,
who? Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah, it's just it's hard work. I would say I wanted to do voiceover for years, but no one really. It's a hard business to get into, I think, because if you think about it, everyone goes to Hollywood, but they're like, dancer, model, or actor, writer. But like for an actor to do live action, it's hard because you're being judged on everything from the second you walk in, the clothes that you decide to wear, your haircut, you're not tall enough, you're short, you're this, whatever. There are already so many things that people are going to be looking at you to say, not for this.
yeah.
But with voiceover, it's even harder because you have nothing but your voice to sell yourself. So what I recommend is be versatile, like be able to do a lot of voices. Sometimes we hear a voice and we know instantly who it is. Like my friend who's in Shadows, Kristen Shaw.
Yeah.
Like you know her voice. She has such a unique, cool
Matt
voice.
Berry as well.
Matt Berry is like Matt Berry did like a Tylenol commercial I think season 2 of Shadows, and I was like, did you do a Tylenol commercial? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Why, yes!
And then it's like, Tylenol. Get that headache. I was like, that's your voice. That is you.
Father!
Yeah, and I was like, that is your voice. And it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's very specific. I pride myself in like trying to do different voices. I recommend because Perrito doesn't sound like Nightwing, and Nightwing doesn't sound like Funny, the Funhouse, on Mickey Mouse Funhouse. So all these characters, and Visago is not going to sound like, so I pride myself in making the characters be different from each other. And I always find it really fun when someone comes up to the table and they're like, you do Nightwing? And you're like, oh, I love you, Esmeralda, and then you find out that you do, and it's like, yeah.
That huge range of it.
So I would recommend have like different characters and accents and stuff.
And absolutely, and to jump on Harvey, he said the word do a lot. Do it.
Do it.
Just do it.
Just
Jump
do it.
into it.
Put
Make
yourself out
mistakes.
there.
I did make one audition and they didn't do my voice.
They do your voice.
They thought that I was faking.
They thought he was fake. They thought he was faking.
They're like, you're too good.
No, keep doing it.
No, keep doing it. Put it
Yes,
out there.
try.
People, nowadays, people get cast in the most weird situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think it's like Scorsese hired like an editor. I think because they edited like Mary Poppins or something. It was like.
And that was it.
That was it. Like you put it out there. It's like those kind of things happen.
Yeah.
And so I always say just put it out there. Just if you want to do it, just put it out there. But do it because you love it. Because
All that.
like any job, and especially in the entertainment industry, the highs are high and the lows are low. Like before I booked Shadows, it was like it was down to like my last like $20 in my bank account. Yeah, you too. It's like, yes, the artist is like, the highs are really high, and it's fun and glamorous to go on the carpet and wear a really cool gown or whatever, but like it's also like a lot of work,
Tenacious.
You have to always be one of our directors, Yanni Roskaya, for Shadows, was like, you're always working, and I was like, for all the things you see me work, you don't see the 10 things I did in bed. You know what I mean? And it's just like, so the idea that you're always working is, I'm very blessed, and I know how hard this business is. And a lot of my friends are not working right now, and the strike kind of threw everything off last year. And, truth be told, Shadows was supposed to really go until 7 seasons. And because of the strike, it threw us off a year and a half of filming, because we were out of work for a year.
Yeah.
And so they kind of wrapped it up and said, how about you guys do 6 and we'll give you an extra episode? And we were like, but you said 7. They're like, I know, but that's how we, you know? And I was like, no. It was tough, and but I think that we're really happy with the 6 seasons that we have, and I think you're gonna like it. It's gonna be really fun.
Heck yes, heck yes. I see a question over here. Hello.
I really like the role you played in Blue Beetle, and I love that you have such a diversified voice, and I think that it really applies when you come to acting. And I feel like you really shown like a lot of personality in what you do. How did you find yourself in like roles like that, and how did it change your perspective on life?
Good question.
She's about to take my job.
Yeah. That's a good question. I pride myself in doing roles that I would be proud to see on screen and also have fun with. And again, growing up, I didn't see a lot of representation on screen, especially, you know, in the business that I'm in. I was told for a long time that all my strikes were like, you're too Mexican, you know, you're too short, you're too stout, you're too this, you're not tall enough, and all those things that were like my strikes, that people would be like, it's because, you know, you got these things going against you. Those are my strikes, those are my strengths. And you turn those strengths into your work, you know? So like when I go into a role, I embody the character and what that person would be in my height, in my body, in my voice, but then I can make alterations, and I can be like, this is no longer me, this is like the doctor in Blue Beetle. How to play that. It was a really great scene in Blue Beetle that got deleted, no one saw in the beginning, where Susan Sarandon's character, we find the scarab, and we're in the mountains and snowing, and we use local village people for using their labor to find the scarab, and we find them. And Susan has a line something along the line of like, and it's like, we found it. And it's like, we can't have any witnesses. Get rid of them. And in front of my eyes, Carapax eliminates all these workers and kills them in front of me. And I watched this, and the camera zooms into my face, and they said that it was too dark. Like that would start the movie. That scene would start the movie.
That was
yeah. And I remember shooting that, and I was like, why would this guy stay with this woman, you know? Why they use indigenous people to like find the scarab and then get rid of it, and it was very, very meta, you know what I mean? Like I was like, that is like colonization, you know what I mean? Like taking over someone's property and land and like using them and using their resources and all of that. And I was just like, this is terrible. Well, the doctor I wouldn't stay for that, you know? So I think it was best they took it out because it didn't make sense for my character, although it did set the tone of like, the fear that he had, and I think with the doctor, I played him where it's never too late to do the right thing. So even at the end, he sacrifices himself for the, better good of like humanity, you know. So it's like he did that, but we don't see him die. Like we saw blood, but you don't see him die.
So a sequel?
So literally, you don't see him, like you see him make the sacrifice and makes Jaime go behind the door and he locks him and says, go, you know? Because he saw what she's capable of. By that point, the doctor had seen her take out a whole village, had seen what her, intentions were, how evil humans can be, and that's not why he became a doctor. You know what I mean? Like, that's not why he became a doctor. And I think it's never too late to do the right thing. You might be in the wrong side, but it's never too late to switch sides. And with that character, I remember I even added a little bit of, my name is not just pendeja, that line. And at the end I say, Marones de la Cruz, So he's related to Guillermo. So I threw that in because I wanted them to be related. They're both good people and they're related, so it runs in the family.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You got the whole audience to say, oh. I just gotta have a compliment of, you have so much heart.
I love playing characters that have heart. I also love playing silly characters, I think during the pandemic, I realized that we consume so much entertainment because things are dark, and we need an escape. But historically, that's when we run to entertainment. The Great Depression, what did people do? They ran to the theater. That's why all those Shirley Temple movies were a hit, you know what I mean? Because people need to escape. They're like, I can't find a job, I need to like go watch a movie and forget about my troubles and then worry about it tonight when I get home.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, an hour and a
That's
half
it.
of your time. I think that I'm not a doctor, I'm not, a physician, but like sometimes the best medicine is, laughter. And so I'm happy to provide that in any way I can.
Beautiful. I'm gonna have you pick somebody though, and who do you get?
Do you want to sit up front?
We got a spot right here, yes, by all means.
One for you guys.
Yeah.
Take a seat.
There we go.
It's my cousin, she's lovely.
Yeah. Who's
Okay,
it?
let's do a question.
Yes. Oh, you didn't know about the deleted scene?
It's satisfying, like you said, like it escapes you to finally see like our own people, that it's like all tourists, they're not being portrayed in that negative scene. But like, so the thing that satisfied me the most about that movie when I watched it was at the very end when Dr. Sanchez does that thing where he turns against, I forget the name. Yeah, and then also when the other guy, Olmex, who was also a victim of court industries destroying the indigenous community, where he was looking for that, and then he turned on them too. And it was satisfying to see all Latinos, even the ones that were technically on the bad guy side, still be like, you know what, we're going to go together because we're the colonizer, and we're going to go together to fight against that. And then they did, and that was so satisfying because court industries in that movie, when it was a villain, that's a real life villain in the countries that our families come from. And even now. And so like it's like that scene probably wasn't too real. So like
Yeah, and with all that, what's your question?
so and then I do have a question that's so this one goes into about in the shadows. She was asking that Guillermo's wearing a vampire costume in his younger years. Was it inspired by the film version of our mom? Also, was that edited for
I guess this question a lot at the tables, at the cons. That is an actor that they hired to look like this. It must look like Harvey. That they asked me for pictures of me as a kid in Halloween costumes, hoping that one was a vampire. And I know I have one where I was a vampire, and I couldn't find it in time because I needed to make it for the edit. I found it afterwards, and they were like, "Well, it's too late. Where do you get this kid?" And I was like, "Okay." I did find also like old pictures of me like dressed as a mummy. Growing up, we're very poor, and so like I'm just wrapped in toilet paper. I'm a mummy.
I was Zorro, and my sword was a TV antenna.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
But that was an actor they hired to, and the pose was supposed to be like kind of Armand like vibe. And there's a picture of me actually. That's the opening credits where I'm wearing red like Armand in that pose, where his hair is really long and dramatic. Like that. That was a replica of like what we were trying to do from Funny About This.
Thank you so much. Another question around here. I'm going to see, yes, you.
Alright, so kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying, so we actually picked up what we do in the shadows during the pandemic. That was the first time, and honestly, it was Guillermo's character that really drew us in, and has, kind of drew us in, and then everybody else was just, in a way, just around Guillermo. But my question is, how much of a say, or how much input did you have in the evolution of Guillermo from like season 1 all the way through this story?
How much input did you have in the
Well,
evolution of Guillermo?
Not a lot in the beginning because Guillermo didn't even have a last name. He wasn't fully developed. Like he was taken out of the oven without it fully rising. Like he was literally like, "It's Guillermo," and I was like, "What's his last name?" They're all, "What's this guy's last name? He's human. He's not like even Laszlo has a last. It's like." And Andor, like the roulette, you know what I mean? Like everyone has this is a human. He's the only human in the show. He must have a last name. What is his backstory? And I was like, "Can I give him a last name?" And then Jermaine was like, "Oh, what you thinking?" And I was like, "I don't know, something like," mind you, at this point, we hadn't gotten to the end of the season. It was like episode 3 that we're shooting. And we shot out of order, which means that in one day, in the morning, we might be shooting episode 102. by lunchtime we're shooting a little bit of 105, and by dinner time we're shooting part of the finale in one day. And so sometimes the first season was really tough for me because they didn't give me the trajectory of the character. They were very secretive. They wouldn't give you the sides and the script because the movie was shot like that. The movie was shot without a script. Like, that's why Yana, who's our director for Shadows, was the editor for the movie. And she said she had like 156 hours of footage to edit, like something crazy. And that's why the movie took forever to kind of edit, because they were like, what is the story we're telling? Because what are we doing? Yeah, and so for me it was like, sometimes we were shooting the scene and like, Guillermo gets in the car, and I was like, when did he get a car? and then the ongoing joke was like, we can't tell you. I was like, well, I'm the actor who's doing the car. I was like, I don't know, we can't tell you, get in the car. And then we type her to the director, and it's like, Harvey, you look terrified? Okay, you're scared, right? You're terrified, and you're dead. And I was like, what happened before the scene? I can't tell you. I can't tell you. And I was like, what's going on? And so the first season when he was petrified and he's like so scared, it's just me. Like, I don't know what's going on in the scene. So I'm in the background. I remember the first scene, everyone doesn't talk a lot. Most of his acting is facial expressions. And I think that they were going to keep him in that world of like, he's just there. And like, at one point I was like, is he just, an ornament? Like, he's just like, I don't know. And then the wording was really like, he's kind of like, for the first episode we talked about being, who's like a best friend who's also a slave, And I was like, I don't know what I want to call this guy, it's like, this sounds problematic, And they were like, oh yeah, but he's like the smartest one of them all. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, because you'll see. And I was like, what? So, you'll see. Somebody tell me. So no one would tell me. And I remember the first season when I asked Jermaine, can I give him my last name? And I said, I'm thinking like De La Cruz. And he's like, what does that mean? And I was like, oh, it means of the cross. He's like, okay, because we're vampires? Oh, that's perfect. Okay. Mind you, I hadn't read the finale for season 1, so I didn't know that he was a Van Helsing. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a perfect name. And I was like, Guillermo de la Cruz as a Van Helsing, It's like, oh my gosh. And they were like, that's perfect. And so I developed it as we went along with them. But it was like not really fully baked, and I think in the beginning, because he was just here. He didn't really speak a lot the first season. He welcomes you to the home, the documentary crew, and that's from there on we see the characters, and then we see that he's just carrying bodies. He wants to be a vampire, but he's more of a servant than anything. And so as the season progressed, he got more confident, and as he finds out that he's a Van Helsing, and he became like a badass, And sometimes we forget how powerful we are just in being ourselves. Like it's like we always expect someone else to give us this title or like validation, and like, oh gosh, because of social media and whatnot, it's like the grass is always greener, Sometimes you are perfectly fine in your field and your where you stand, and you just accept it, and be like, I'm a badass, in my own right, Yeah, you just like by being yourself. And Guillermo does that as the seasons progress. He becomes more confident. Notice that Guillermo always talks, and no louder than a soft whisper inside the house. He always talks very softly because he's afraid. He's terrified. He's terrified of being demoted because in this snap, he demotes him for another 5 years, a familiar. That's the power they have over him. And so what I do is I have to be careful what I say and the words I use in the house. And so I always play him like that. But when he's outside the house, notice that his voice changes. When he's with other people, when he's with the mosquito hunters, they think he's cool. Notice he's like, you're pretty cool, Guillermo, And he's like, thanks. And he's a different person. Because we are like that. We're a different person when we're at work. We're a different person around our family. We're a different person when we're dating someone. It's just like the romantic days of the beginning, and your true colors show eventually. That's what you can't hide. And so
you can't sustain that first date
forever. Yeah, and so I think with Guillermo is that he's always that level at home, at the household, because he's terrified of them, because he's afraid that they won't make his dream come true. Which eventually you find out that Nando was never planning on making him. That he always knew that it wasn't in him. It's not a natural born killer. He hates that he has to find victims, but he also is a badass and kills vampires without trying, So he has a really tumultuous relationship with himself, and where this origin story and where he comes from and wanting to be something that is not meant for him. There was a scene last season where with my mom and with Myrna, and she is such a great actress and we have such great chemistry. she's telling me, where's your rosary that your grandma gave you, you know? And I'm there literally to say goodbye to her forever. I'm willing to sacrifice my life. Never see my mom again. Never see her, and I'm telling her, this might be the last time I come by. Mom's like, what are you talking about, Nico? You know, whatever. No, this might be the last. Imagine telling someone who brought you into this world that you want something so bad that you can never see them again because that dream is more important to you than your own family. That was a really sad moment for me to play Guillen. I were crying, just like crying with her in the bed because it was like, I can't imagine telling my mom that I want to be a vampire so bad that I denied my name, denied the Van Helsing side of me, denied my mother. I want something so bad, and then at that point you have to ask yourself, how selfish are you? How selfish can humans be? And we are selfish, you know? It's okay to be selfish sometimes, but at what point do we stop and say, that's enough?
Yeah.
Now you're hurting other people, that's enough. Now you've taken enough land, you know? That's enough. Now you've conquered, that's enough. You know, you have to tell yourself, there has to be a point where we have a moral compass and we have to say, that's enough. And ask yourself, do you like what you see in the mirror? And all of us have that, yes, you know what I mean? But with Guillermo, that was a really tough season. Oh no, you're crying in the front. No,
dang, no, this is a beautiful moment. And it was all because of your question. Wonderful.
It's okay.
It's amazing.
It's okay to feel.
Yeah,
I want to normalize that.
And that's the beauty of it too, because again, it's like, to be open, to put because again, you have a really great ability, like I mentioned before, to put your heart into these characters, and they show, and there's so much empathy into those, into that, just what you bring into it, and so, I just want to say, it's like, you got me too, man, you got me too. Because again, the last thing I watched was What We Did in the Shadows, was with my grandmother during the pandemic. And my grandmother is Latina as well, and she's Catalina Mojica. And you really brought it together for that last year for me, so I can't thank you enough.
Oh, you're all going to make me so...
Jesus. So, yeah. So if you're going to cry, I'm going to cry. It's okay. Let's do an applause break for crying. Next question. Who do we have? Yes.
Was there ever a point while you were studying that you had a big aha, everything makes sense moment? And if so, what was that?
Good question, because I know you're going to New York soon, right? To do musical theater. We met earlier today, and I remember you told me that. Yeah, I think for me, training, well, first of all, I never stopped training. You know, I feel like I was always just doing sketches, and I knew that I knew improv with friends, exactly. Yes, I am.
That's right.
I would say the aha moment for me was, because I also grew up with musical theater training, and I did have professors that maybe they were a product of their time as well. And I don't hold grudges against the way that they were teaching, but they were teaching in an old-fashioned way where they were asking questions, they were kind of would not be okay today. Questions like, what are you going to do about the weight? And it's like, sorry? And would you be a leading man if you lost the weight? And they'd be like, I can be a leading man at this size, at any size. And the second I switched that aha moment for me was that. When I stopped trying to fit a mold. Because Hollywood is going to want to put you in a mold. And they're going to be like, that's what sells, kid, you know? That's what's sexy. That's what's I'm sexy in the body I'm in. I'm confident in the body I'm in. It's don't try to fit a mold. And go with there with an open mind and to also be okay with taking what you need and leaving what it doesn't serve you. So just know that, because they are the teachers, but I always think it's funny because we give so much power to someone else. They're like, tell me what to do, and you must know what to do, right? And it's like, remember, they're human too. Not everything is set in stone, so take what you need and leave at the door what you don't, and it'll just serve you. It just makes you not waste years of trying to be something you're not and trying to fit a mold. So I would say don't stop training, and continue to find teachers that encourage you to be you and to find the character in you and in what you are in that season, in that moment, in that year. Because we age, and that happens. So we're not who we are today that we were yesterday. We're definitely not going to be tomorrow who we were today. We're always evolving, always changing. So be ready to evolve too.
Good luck on your journey.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, another question. Let's see. Yes, you.
Hey, as you imagine, we watch a lot of Mickey Mouse Funhouse. How did you get involved with voiceover Funhouse?
So Mickey Mouse House was my second voice job ever. Like my first one was the Owl House, and that was an offer that the casting director was like, we have this character and we have for you to do it. Oh my gosh! And I've been trying to do voiceover for years. But no one gave me the opportunity because it's a tough business to get into. It's like, once you're in, you're in. Like that's why a lot of the voice actors do a million characters.
Strong,
Yeah, exactly. They do so many characters because they like working with them, and they say, well, you can do the voice, you got another one of you, another one of you. Yeah. So they stick to this person. And so when you get your foot in the door, it's like such a rare thing. And this casting director was from Disney, and FX is owned by Disney. And Shadows is a Disney show. Think about it. So technically, like Naja is a princess. I know. And so when I got that, the first job was Owl House, and the second one they asked me to audition for this new character. So I was joining the Sensational Six, as they call them, like Mickey, Donald, Pluto, Goofy, Daisy and Minnie, all of them. And they had a friend, it's the Fun House. So it was like their hangout place, and the Fun House is magical, and it goes on adventures with them. And I made the choice to do funny in a really like an octave higher than my voice. And so for that character, I was like, well, if it works, it works. And then I booked it, and then it's like, so now we'll do the season. You have to stay up, and so I need to, like, after I do a couple episodes, I need to go home to rest. it's like he has this laugh. It's like, it's like up there. It's like really loud, and it's just like I can't do that for 6 hours straight.
Yeah, I got a couple of
I got a couple of episodes in me, and then we're like, I slept like a baby after sessions with Mickey Mouse because it's so much energy, and it's big. But that's why I got involved with that, and because the casting director worked for Disney, but also was a fan of Shadows. In all honesty, that's what I'm saying, put it out there, because you never know who's going to look. Because they were like asking, do you do voiceover? And I was like, I want to. I've been trying for years, but no one gives me the chance. And they're like, okay, do a voice. And I'd be like, yeah, we'll do that. And then they find out that I can do another voice. Like, wait, you can do that? Oh, then yeah, here's a job. And it was like, oh, you can do, okay. Mr. Three Voices. And it's like, I have more than 3 voices. And then it grows. And then when they offered me Nightwing, I was like, what? I was like, what? Nightwing? And then I was like, oh my gosh, what voice am I going to do? I didn't have a Nightwing voice. I had to create that voice. I didn't go on audition with Nightwing. They gave it to me, and I was like very honored, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do it right. So I had to find a way with Nightwing to be very serious all the time, right? But also, I'm going to kill myself, It jumps up into like this world.
You sneak a little funhouse laugh in
It has
there.
to be a little funny at the time.
Dark and broody.
Yeah, dark and broody. The funny way. Yeah, it's always fun to get an offer, but audition for stuff is always good too, because you get to showcase what you can do. I think the best offer was after I did Perrito for Pussy Boots, Sony called, and it was like a Zoom meeting with like all the executives on the screen, and they're like, we love what you did with Perrito. And I was like, oh, so much heart, we love it. And it's like, oh gosh, and that's why we would love to offer you Odie and Garfield. And I was like, oh my gosh, Odie. Wait, doesn't Odie not talk? Exactly. And it's another dog. Exactly. We would love for you to say nothing. I was like, so Odie doesn't talk though. Why do you want me to do it? He wants someone to convey emotion, happiness, sadness, without a word. And I was like, what? Dog sounds. And I was like, dog sounds. I was like, yeah. So it was a lot. It's just like exact sound effects. And that was the quickest recording of a movie I've ever done. Like, okay, Harvey, here, thanks for coming. We'll make this quick. Odie's happy. Go. And they're like, okay. He barks. Go. He's sad. Go. And it's like, and it's like, yeah, that was great. Yeah, and I was like, and that's all I did. And then it's like, and we're done. Thank you for coming in. But I was here for 15 minutes. Like, the movie's gonna be great. And I literally walked out of that session, and my agent was like, how do you go? I was like, I finished a movie. I did a whole movie in 15 minutes.
Holy smokes.
It's gonna be great. But the idea that they have to do this dramatic like scene with all of them in the screen to be like, we love to offer you Odin.
And wearing like cloaks and everything. We so love you.
But I love that I had to do a character that moved them to tears and be like, we love what you did with Odito, and because of that, we want you to say nothing.
You made us think. You made us not think about our stock shares.
Yeah. Not word. Only.
Well, you're in the same league now as Alan Tudyk, you know, like doing all the character voices of just a rooster, like.
Yeah. I love it. It's great, and Garfield, you know, was.
Now you're part of the Garfield universe.
Garfield, and I kind of, you know, me, the creator and stuff, like all of my childhood dreams, like the things that I watched when I was a kid, and the things that I wanted to be, and the business that I wanted to be a part of. It's just like it's never lost on me that it's like it's like dreams come true, you know. And it's never lost on me and how lucky I am to do what I love, and it's just never lost on me. Like it's like every job I get, I always say it's like I won the lottery. Every job I get, I had to outbeat people to get that job. It's like I won the lottery. Like it's like imagine all the actors and singers, the people who were like in the thousands who submitted, and then out of the thousands they picked hundreds, and out of the hundreds they picked dozens, and out of the dozens they picked the final five, and out of those final five they picked me. They picked me, and so I won the lottery. I continue to win the lottery, and that's why I'm always so grateful for the opportunity that I get, and so grateful to come to these cons and like, you know, meet all of you, because I continue to win the lottery, and I'm just very fortunate. So we all should win the lottery together. You know, it's like every day is we won the lottery. We're alive.
And for you, please keep playing the lottery.
Yeah, we win the lottery.
Stuff, man.
We don't play the real lottery at this point.
Do we have any other questions out there? Let me see. You. Yes.
I was wondering, how much improv is there on Shadows, and also how much of a difference is there between Matt Berry, the character, and Matt Berry, the person?
The difference between Matt Berry, the character, and Matt Berry, the person.
What's so funny is there's a lot of improv. The half of the show, the final part that you see is 50% scripted and 50% improvised. So what we have on set is called, we do a run which is scripted, and then we might have notes from upstairs, the director might get notes from the producers or something, we have alterations to this one scene, and then we have what's called, and what happened was the first season, Taika would say, okay, now let's have fun. Like, which means do what you want. Like, do a scene, you already know what the scene's about, you have to get from point A to point B, do what you want. And then I was like, yay, fun, I'm like, funsies! And he goes like, yeah, what? And I was like, funsies? And he goes like, sure, funsies! And we called it funsies that day. And then from that day on, when we know that we're done with the scene, like we got it in the can, it's done, the director goes, I'm happy, everyone upstairs is happy, funsies. That means you can do whatever you want. And so the cast loves funsies because you get to improvise, you don't know what's going to come out of anyone's mouth. You're playing, I call it playing hot potato with the cast, and no one drops the ball ever. Like everyone is so good. And so we just do funsies. Like there was season 1, we did funsies. It lasted 22 minutes. And in the show, it was only 20 seconds. But we did funsies for 22 minutes. Like it was a Benny Hook, like it was like, he comes to the room, I'm over here, where? Over here. And he gets to the room, and I come to the room, and ask her, and I was like, I'm over here. And so I follow my voice. And he's like, Matt Berry, so like, who? You know, he comes out, and he's like, have you seen Naja? And it's like, Naja's in the room. And it's like, people coming in, coming out, coming in. And it did for 22 minutes, and it was like Colin Robinson kind of saying it, so like, hello, and going home, and it's like, it was just like, it went on for 22 minutes, and the scene was 20 seconds. You know, but a lot of improvised happens on the show. Not all shows that you improvise. Like while I was shooting Shadows, I went to shoot Reacher, you know, for season 1, and that show was not improvised. You know? So even if you change one word, I was like, yeah, instead of, you know, you all, I say y'all. I was like, it's you all. Okay, yes. I'm sorry. It's like, yeah, they really like other shows. You know, you need to say script word for word, but we're very lucky that in our show we got to improvise a lot. That's what makes it so like fun. It's just that it looks real. You have a documentary crew following these vampires and they're human familiar. Yeah.
156 hours again? How much was
So,
it?
something crazy, and I misquote.
No.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
You said there was so much
So much
footage.
material,
Yeah, and I'm bummed because the show doesn't really show bloopers, and we have so many bloopers on the show. I hope one day that we do release them. I almost released them because I know some of you watched my What We Do in the Shadows, the after show that I did to like recap. If you haven't, you can watch it online still. But they let us do the bloopers, and they were about to show them one of the episodes, and at the last minute, like, legal swooped in and was like, "You can't show those." And I was like, "But you said yes, like yesterday." It was like, "I know, we changed our mind." And I was like, "Oh, so close." And I saw them. I saw the bloopers, and we were about to screen them live, on our platform, and they were funny. And I was just like, some of the bloopers are funnier. I think some of the scenes that end up being, because the show has to move the storyline forward, so we can't put all the funny stuff in it. It's just jokey. But some of the bloopers were really
Hopefully one day.
One day.
And we got a few more, we're in the last 10 minutes, so we're going to finish strong, get it going, yeah.
Hey man, really big fan of your work, Harvey. We really appreciate everything that you do. Can you just explain or speak on the relationship that you have with Kayvon? Because obviously your guys' on-screen chemistry is...
Who?
Kayvon.
That's what Matt Berry would say. Who? Oh, to answer your question, sorry. They're totally similar and very different at the same time. I mean, Matt's voice is Matt's voice, so like, to jump on your question, I'm closest to Kayvon, like my scenes were all with Kayvon. We have similar energy, like I feel like going into the show, Kayvon and I were really upbeat, we're high energy, and we mesh really well together. We just know, like working with each other so many years, we just know what the other person is thinking, like it's really weird. So that's why our scenes are so quick like that. Like we had a scene where we go into the room and like, why are we saying, oh, like Guillen, speak quiet. Like it's like some of the stuff that we improvise is so quick and like it just meshes so well together because we are, like he is one of my best friends, and like the relationship that we made because of the show continues after. I'm going to see him next week and I'm going to be in Atlanta with him, and
Dragon Con.
Yeah, and so we love seeing each other. He is one of the nicest, most kindest people I've ever met, and our chemistry is just like we want to do something together. We're thinking about like, let's see where the show ends, like where the. I'm not giving too much. Let's see how the season ends in a way. What can possibly happen, and maybe could happen. And let's see what we can do together. Like, we just love hanging out with each other, and like maybe do a podcast where we go episode by episode and we talk about behind the scenes stuff that happened.
What we do in the shadows.
What we did
in the shadows.
We'll talk about that. But yeah, just like you meet friendships that come, they're rare. They come along with that, and you become friends forever. And I'm very grateful. Yeah, because our energies just match really well. Yeah.
So it's a very organic type thing that you guys built together?
Yeah, it's just I never had a chemistry with Kayvon, and it was actually, because I booked the role, and it was like supposed to be chemistry with Kayvon to see if we had chemistry. And we ran out of time, there was no time, so we went straight to set, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have chemistry with this guy. And this is a big gig and a job, and you're like, I get replaced, I might get fired, like, I don't know. These fears in your head of like, we gotta have, and then the second I met him, he was like, hey man, and he just gave me a chat, and I was like, oh my gosh, my friend is here, I have a friend here, my friend, this is a friend. And we just hit it off, like him and I, from the get-go. Like I stay in his flat in London, him and his fiance make me dinner, like, he checks up on me, like, my sister's actually our agent for, like, who reps us for, like, events and stuff. She represents Kayvon as well, And so it's so selfish of us because we want to go and hang out together, It's like, we're going to go to Dragon Con next week. So if you are in Atlanta next week, come on.
I'll be there.
Yeah. But it's great. He's great. He's really great, and I love hanging out with him. So yeah, we'll do something I think in the future.
Thank you. Another question to anybody out there. I love you got this energy. Yes.
You work with a lot of high-profile actors. Do you have any fun stories from off-screen?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I've been very lucky. I think I took Susan Sarandon to a drag show. Oh, this is a good one. So we were in Atlanta shooting Blue Beetle, and her and I happened to be off that evening, and oh my gosh, can you this almost happened? It didn't happen, but they were showing Rocky Horror at midnight, and I was like, oh my god, they're showing a movie at midnight. That's so weird. I mean, like, you wouldn't go. You want to go. And she was like, fuck it, let's go. Sorry, those kids are so that's what she said. And then I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna go see Rocky Horror at midnight. We're so random. And the guy who did through the night got COVID and canceled the night. And I was like, that night, we're like, no, I'm so close. And then she's like, what else are we gonna do then? And I was like, there's a drag show? And she was like, fuck it. So she and I become really good friends. We've had lunch several times. She came to the screening that I had at Blue Beetle in New York that we had because we really couldn't have a premiere because it was during the strike. That was unfortunate for all of us. It was at one point on Times Square, there was a giant Blue Beetle billboard in the middle of Times Square, like with our faces, like our faces there, like in a giant building. A bus or a taxi went by with shadows on top of it, and I couldn't promote any of it. Like it was the best day and the worst day. So I was like, I got robbed. And if you get a chance to see Blue Beetle, I don't know what would happen. It's a beautiful movie, and I would recommend you go see that movie. It's very sweet and it's very close to my heart. But it was just like, you know, the strike, but it was the right thing to do, and you know, it was bad timing on all of it, and it was just like looking at like here we are at Times Square, because I did musical theater, and I always said one day I'm gonna have a poster in Times Square. When I went to Times Square for the first time when I was in school, and I was like, maybe one day I'll be in a musical, and my picture will be up there, and here it is up in lights, and here it is on a taxi going by, and it's the one where I'm hanging on to the leg, you know, with like my little baby bats, like that's the poster. So it's the top of a taxi, and so you see little me going, on the taxi, like, oh my gosh, it's so, and it was just like, I took it in and I realized that moment was for me, and I didn't need to necessarily share it like on social media, because that moment, I did say it was going to happen, and it did happen. That moment was for me, and my family was in town as well, and that moment I got to share with them. I got to share it with my friends. I got to walk down that street every day to go see, you know, a show, or to go get a drink or whatever, and I got to see that every day on Times Square, and that moment was for me, and I said it would happen, and it did, so sometimes we got to be very specific about our dreams. I said I wanted it on Times Square, and I should have said, but I also want to be able to share it. Monkey's followers! No, I was like, no, be very careful and specific about your wishes, because they will come true, you know?
Harvey, this is the hardest thing to always do for these panels, but we're at the last 3 minutes. We're like at the tail end in time. But what I like to do for these panels is I like to just open the floor for you, because these panels are just an opportunity to like really talk to their fans, because again, the love and appreciation, every celebrity just is just again as strong as the people that believe in them. And I'm going to give this floor for you. You can have any words you'd like to say. It could be inspirational advice, it could be a joke, whatever's at the top of your mind, but you have the floor to talk to Tampa Bay Comic-Con.
Well, thank you first of all for having me. This has been so nice and welcoming, and these were great questions. This is a great panel today. Just the words that I would say is that I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for all of you, and continued support, and thanks for, you know, watching, and thanks for loving the shows or the movies or the projects. Because without you, you know, we don't have anyone to entertain, you know, we don't have anything to do. So please continue, and I love sharing your art on social. So if you're on socials, you tag me, most likely I will repost you. There's a lot of art out there. I know that a lot of you have been asking about what updates, or if there's like, I keep forgetting to, people always ask, this is a shirt from Comic-Con San Diego, but we've made merch, and it's you can get at HarveyGeek.com. So people always ask where do I get my shirts, where do I get some new merch. So you can go and look at that if you don't have to, but if you want to look at that. Just a reminder also to just kind of be kind to people. I know right now, you know, the world is crazy and chaotic, and a little reminder just to be kind and have fun. I like to combine those. Sometimes I have too much fun, you know, but like, not funsies. Yeah, just be kind to each other. I talked about this in the panel last time, but it was the idea. A lot of you have come up to me and said that the show helped in one way or another, especially if you're queer, that it helped you be comfortable telling your family and friends. And I always like to talk about this. And when people say, "Oh, I came out when I was this age, I came out, blah, blah," they came out to me. And I always think that that's such a weird phrase, because when a queer person comes out to you, they know who they are. They're not coming out to you. It shouldn't be called coming out. They're letting you in. So when someone lets you in, be cautious and be kind. And when someone considers you close enough to let you in, on whatever the situation, their sexuality, their desires, their feelings for you maybe, when someone lets you in, be gentle. Yeah.
Everybody give it up for Harvey.